Last week, we had the HS Awareness Virtual Summit, and it was magical from the first day to the seventh day. We got to bring awareness to a community that is longing to be heard. And today, I just want to share my experience with those who are out there and are looking for some hope in the despair. Hidradenitis Suppurativa entered my life when I was 11 years old. It was a very difficult thing to realize. I wasn't present in my body already because I was being bullied, and I had some other chronic illnesses, like I was pre-diabetic, and I was pushing almost 350 pounds. So I couldn't really grasp what was happening to me at the time. And throughout middle school, it progressed. I can't tell you how rapidly, but all I know is by the time I was in 8th grade, I had it all over my body. I felt alone. And this portion of this story is for patients who are teens, who are adolescents, and deal with this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you have a limitation on living your life right now. I'm sorry that instead of playing basketball, or instead of playing volleyball and hanging with your friends, you might be going to the doctor's office and in surgeries and changing wound dressings. I am sorry. You don't deserve that. You don't deserve that. You don't deserve to live in that reality. However, we are. We're here and we're living in this reality. So what can we do? What I decided to do was use my voice. Since I was a little girl, I felt the vibrations of my voice very strongly. I was in the poetry club in high school. I was in radio. I'm heard and not seen, which made me feel comfortable where I was. To get through some of the perils of having HS and having to sit in that reality, I did a lot of things I wasn't supposed to. I won't go into that. I'm not ready to share that part of my life just yet. However, just know that I participated in practices that harmed myself and others. And there is no but. I was not educated on the ways to heal myself. So I looked for ways to disassociate. So I did that physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially. And as the time went on, going into college, my grandmother passed away. Now, everyone in my family pretty much is overweight. At least in my intermediate family, they were or they are. And I grew up in a household that didn't know much about nutrition and didn't know much about being present in the body and nourishing the body and finding out what nutrients we needed to survive. We just ate. In college, when my grandmother passed, I made the decision to change my life. I got an inkling in my soul that told me, or that nudged me to look at my diet. For some reason, I was thinking about the way that food reacts with skin, specifically chocolate or fried foods. When you eat those different foods, they show up on your face as acne. And at the time, I understood hidradenitis suppurativa as a severe acne. And so I'm thinking that, okay, if this is like a severe acne, then maybe what I'm eating and putting in my body is causing my experience right now. So my first step was to not eliminate any food, but change how much I was eating. So I used an app called Lose It, and that app changed my life because I went from being 350 pounds to being, how much do I weigh now? 199 now. And at the time, I calculated how much I was eating per day, how many calories. And that was about 5,500 calories a day. And this was not of anything that was had any nutritional value. It was meat, it was breads, it was cheese. The only vegetable that I got was probably on a hamburger, to be truthfully honest. I drank water. I always drank a lot of water as a young girl, and pop. So instead of 5,500 calories, I ate 25 or 25 to 2,000 a day. And my weight started coming down gradually. It wasn't something that happened like immediately. I started to see some changes within my weights. Nothing happened with my HS. I didn't really see any differences. Then I did that for like a year. And then during that year as well, instead of taking like the bus to class or taking the bus anywhere, honestly, I would just walk. I would walk and I would use that as the opportunity to exercise my body. And so the second year I got out of a dorm. I was in my sophomore year because my freshman year, that's when I started the journey. And then my sophomore year is when I got into an apartment off campus. Thank you to my parents for that. And so I began to eat foods that I cooked. And so I could regulate more the sodium content, what I was putting in my body and everything like that. So instead of dorm food that's prepackaged and frozen, I was eating fresh fruits and vegetables. And I was still eating like meats and things like that, and processed foods when I first moved into my apartment. But my dad, like, this is like months into me living there, my dad started back in Detroit because I lived in Kalamazoo. I went to Western Michigan University for my first 3 years of college. And my dad was trying to lose weight. He was looking to rebalance his whole health, and he found out about juicing. And he found out about juicing not only through his friends through the years, but I think what really set it in his mind was watching Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, which changed my life. I literally did not know that our food had so much of an influence on our body and our minds and our souls. I did not know that. I had no knowledge, no teaching. And even if I did have the teaching, it wasn't in a way that I understood it. So when I saw that documentary and I started to do my own research, I realized that the certain foods that I was putting in my body might be causing what's called inflammation, which directly relates to HS. HS is a chronic inflammatory disease. So if you have acid in your body, a lot of mucus in your body, then your body is prone to disease. So after seeing this documentary, I began looking into the foods that were in my cabinet. I started taking out the processed foods and I threw them away. I started taking out the high sugar content foods and threw them away. I started from scratch. I decided to go to the farmer's market, which I feel like Kalamazoo had one of the best farmer's markets that I've ever been to. They had fresh produce. Nothing was taken from the store. Everything was taken from the ground. I got introduced to new herbs and spices, and it was such a wonderful, immersive experience. And I was my healthiest at that time, I feel like, physically. Mentally, no, but physically, yes. During that time, I started doing the elimination diet. Started taking things out of my diet to see what they would do once I got control of how much I was eating. So I took out beef. No, I took out pork first and then beef. Then I did chicken, then fish, then dairy. Then I started juicing for 2 weeks. I started juicing for 2 weeks. This is like in my junior year at Western. And I had moved to my not my grandmother's, I'm sorry. I moved to my aunt's home in Kalamazoo. She lives in a beautiful farm area. And I was juicing. My dad bought me a juicer. And I did that for 2.5 weeks while I was transitioning from Western Michigan to Wayne State University on a full ride scholarship for journalism. I was juicing and I lost significantly more weight. Significantly more weight. That's actually what cleared up a lot of my HS. I noticed that one day, literally, I woke up and I didn't have any open wounds, no scar tissue, no inflammation on my breasts, under my breasts, in the inflammatory area, on my back, on the sides. I still had it under my arms, and in the groin, and in the buttocks. However, it was calmer. I started to realize the power of what I was putting into my body. And I realized that sticking to it, because it took 3 years, and it took testing it, doing different things when I didn't see results. Then when I moved back to Detroit, I moved into my parents' condo that they bought, and my brother was living in it. And I stayed there while I was going to Wayne State University. And my HS was in remission, literally. I started getting plastic surgery done. And then I also got CO2 laser for my armpits. I'm just gonna show you all really quickly what this looks like. I had a little scare of something coming right here. But this is outside of like the zone. Like I haven't gotten any more HS in here. This is all CO2. Okay. So I got them on both of my arms. I got it done on both of my arms. And then in 2015, I lost a very dear friend of mine. She had a seizure in her sleep. I did not know how to deal with that. I really miss her even to this day. But I'm learning how to handle that energy. I'm learning to process that energy. But during that time, I spiraled out of control and I started eating foods that I wasn't supposed to. I didn't immediately see any changes with my HS or anything like that. I was still in remission. I started eating a lot of breads and cookies and baked goods, and I started introducing dairy back into my diet. I started drinking very heavily, smoking very heavily. I passed out in front of my brother. It was bad. I was very depressed. I had to get a grip on reality, on my reality, and I had to process my emotions, which I didn't do still. Well, I have, but at that time, I still hadn't done that, even with all of those things going on. So 2016, I continued to eat the way that I was eating. I was still eating seafood. Like I said, I introduced dairy back into my diet, and I still didn't see any changes with my HS. I was still in remission. 2017, same thing. And then 2018 is when I got one of the biggest boils that I had ever gotten. I had been gaining weight 2016 to 2018. I had been gaining weight during that time because I was eating a lot of breads. I was eating my feelings away, drinking my feelings away, smoking my feelings away. And 2018, I got one of the biggest boils that I had had in a very long time. I didn't have a boil or any activity for 3 years before this moment where I got a huge tennis ball size boil in my buttock region. I could not walk. I was sick with a fever for 2.5 weeks. Until I could go and get the boil lanced, I literally had issues washing, walking, using the bathroom. Laying down was very uncomfortable. I'm gonna allow this to pass. So in 2018, I got that boil and I went to go get it lanced. And after that, I felt better. I could walk again. I didn't let my friends know what I was going through. I went through a lot of this on my own, and I had a lot of social anxiety because of it. And I had friends who are no longer my friends who did not understand that, unfortunately, because I did not articulate it, unfortunately, because I didn't know. There was a lot of heartache and grief around what I was experiencing. So this was right before I was gonna go to school, grad school, to get my master's in specialized journalism arts at the University of Southern California. A lot of things bad happened before I left. A lot of challenging things, not even necessarily bad, but challenging things happened before I left. I was tested in so many different ways. Spirit, mind, body, and souls, all tested. Faith, because this was a new venture and I swore that I would never go back to school. But for some reason, Spirit told me to go to school because I wanted to produce a documentary on hidradenitis suppurativa. And so I thought that the only way that I could do that is through a university, to get it on the platform that I wanted, to connect with the individuals that I needed to. And I was right. I did that. So in 2018, when the inflammation went down, but I got another boil a few months later when I moved here to California and settled into my apartment, my new apartment here near USC campus. Was still dealing with the HS. I stopped eating dairy immediately after the incident happened. During those 2.5 weeks, I couldn't eat anyway. My body just would not allow me to digest food. I could barely drink water at that point too. It was bad. And it just made me reevaluate how I was treating my body and why. I was using a lot of food and liquor and smoking to get rid of the feelings of inadequacy and pain and hurt and grief that I didn't process, I didn't want to process. Because that's heavy. It's heavy to sit with the emotions that we have and to realize our experiences, because we wish we could change them, but we can't most of the time. But the things that we can change, we should change, especially if we have the desire to. So 2018, 2019, I started on a different journey back into my veganism. I started eating a lot of fresh fruits and veggies. I stopped drinking liquor officially in October, and I fasted liquor for a year because I wanted to get back control over my body and my mind. I was falling into being an alcoholic in my terms. It was abnormal for me to drink as much as I was drinking. So I needed to take a break. I then started to do this documentary. The documentary on called My Gold Lining, a documentary on hidradenitis suppurativa. I started producing it. I started calling people, setting up interviews, out of state, in state. I started to write out what I wanted this documentary to look like, how I wanted it to feel, what information I wanted to include in it. And this was my way, and during this time I was talking to my therapist. This was my way of really gaining some control over my life again. I feel like I was able to reach out and help others by telling my story, by having a voice. Storytelling is very important to me. I've always felt like I was marginalized, and people have wanted me to be more quiet than vocal, to be seen and not heard. But I've always been an individual to use my voice, and I will make people comfortable now with hearing me, because I'm getting comfortable with hearing me, okay? That's gonna be another video where we talk about the art of storytelling, where we talk about harnessing our voices to become all that we can be, to advocate for ourselves and our communities. That's what our job is on this earth, is to find out what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to do it, when, where, and all of the hows will get worked out. So 2019, I realized also corn and sugar and tofu and soy, grains of any kind, were really just wreaking havoc on my body, so I took them out. Now I'm on a more holistic path where I'm I'm actively going to stop eating foods with processed sugar, hydrogenated oils, and that are processed foods and have a lot of carbs. I want to lower the inflammation in my body, and I don't like the way I feel when I'm inflamed. Even if it's not with a huge boil, I feel my scars inflamed. I feel my body, my stomach, my gut is inflamed, and I don't like that feeling at all. So I'm on a journey now. So I took you from where I started, and now we're where I am now. Where I am now, I really want to get my health in order so that I can start working on my body, start toning, start aligning myself with surgeons so that I can get some of this excess skin cut off, so that I can continue my journey in toning my body. I've lost a lot of weight, and a lot of this is not going to be tightened from exercise alone. Some surgical intervention is needed, and that is my choice. We all have the choice. That does not mean I'm ashamed of my body. That just means that I want to see something different, and I have a goal in mind, and it's okay for me to go for that goal as long as I'm not harming myself. My father has always taught me to check my reason behind doing the things that I do. So the reason that I'm going to do the plastic surgery, or the reason why I'm going to do the tummy tuck or the liposuction, is so that I can feel more comfortable in my body, so that I can take my body and stretch it to new heights, to make it stronger, faster. So this is what the next journey of my life is going to look like, is really diving deep into holistic medicine to heal my HS, to heal my body, my mind, and my soul. And I really want you to come on that journey with me, because I think that you can benefit from it as well. I think that you can get to know who you are. You can empower yourself, because a lot of things in this world, because of the systems in place, because the people who enforce those systems, they make us feel disempowered. There's always something wrong with you. That's how you sell, right? But what if we sold, or we created community around what was empowering rather than what is degrading? It's easy to focus on our faults But think about how powerful it would be to focus on the things that are positive about ourselves. And that doesn't mean that we're ignoring what's bad. That just means we are amplifying what's good so that we can change the other things, so that we can work through those things. We can hold space for both. And that's what this channel is about, is holding space for all of the emotions, all of the things within our lives that come up. Because I am not perfect. No one on this world is perfect. I'll let this pass. So this practice, this space is really for empowerment. I am the type of person that has been taught to, if you have a problem, to carry a solution as well. If you're going to speak about a problem, we need to have a solution to that problem. How are we going to fix it? How are we going to fix ourselves? We have HS, so what is the answer? Our bodies are telling us something is wrong. Our minds now need to figure out what that is. We cannot only rely on doctors and physicians. I do believe doctors and physicians have their place. I believe in coexisting, working with natural remedies and also working with traditional medicine, because they both help in the unified healing. That's what I've done throughout my life. I've worked with Dr. Hamzavi, and then I've also done my own at-home practices to help further that healing that has been done in that office. The reason why I've been able to maintain is because I'm conscious about what I'm putting in my body, and the reasons why I have inflammation is when I'm not conscious about what I'm putting in my body. It's up to us to heal ourselves and to find the things naturally in the earth that are here to heal us. Everything you need is inside of you. I don't have the answers for what you need. You have that answer. What I'm here to do is to help you realize that you have that answer. We are working in a space where we are coexisting. We're holding space for all of the spectrum of emotions and being. We are who we are, and that will change. Some things will stay the same. Be comfortable with that if you can. Okay? So I appreciate you all for taking this time to sit with me and to talk about my experience with hidradenitis suppurativa. Living with this condition is not easy. But I want to hear from you. What is your story? How are you going to start honoring your story? What are you going to do to tell your story? It can be something small, like writing it down, or it can be something big, as in making a channel. There's space for all of us in this world to succeed and to tell our stories. And a lot of people in power make it seem like there's only a few people that rise to the top, but we can all rise to the top and get the things we need, okay? I believe that wholeheartedly. I've always believed that. Opportunity is not for the few, it's for the whole, it's for the collective. Resources, healing is for the collective. Okay? So the next video will more than likely be about self-esteem in HS, because I think that's something that I would love to talk about, especially because I'm dealing with a lot of that right now in my life. Trying to feel beautiful, sexy. I have my my Savage Fenty bra on today because her lingerie makes me feel sexy. It fits, it's smooth against my skin, it supports me. I love Rihanna. I hope that I get to meet Rihanna one day. I hope that I get to be in a Savage Fenty commercial representing people with HS. That is my goal. That is my goal. And I will get there. You watch. Okay? But we use these things to make ourselves feel good. And I'm using this lingerie to make myself feel good. I've never bought myself lingerie, ever. So that's what we're going to talk about next video. We are going to talk about feeling sexy and beautiful while having HS, because you deserve to feel that way. Chronic illness or not. I love you. I thank you for entering this space. I thank you for taking the time for you. I thank you for existing, because you deserve that. You deserve to exist. You deserve to be loved and heard and seen, and I see you. And I love you. Thank you. See you next week. Let me know how you're feeling. And also, please let me know what your story is. Okay? Like, comment, subscribe, share, because I know that other people need to hear this message, whether they have chronic illness or not. So let's join and spread this community.